Hi everyone, it's Jana Eubank. It's been a while since I've done a scrapbooking process video because of the holidays, but I just received my Craft with Heart 2019 kits and I was so excited to get these put together, so I turned on the camera and thought I would do that for you today. Now, I showed you a quick picture of the layout, and in the initial map or the blueprint of the two-page layout, those two large triangle pieces are kind of serve as bookends, but I decided to flip-flop them and cut them out and put them together and create one large square for my layout. And then I'm also cutting out this green block from the layout kit to use as a mat for my photos. So I know I'm going to put this on a single page layout and put them together like that. And but I pull out some cardstocks, just some solid cardstocks, to decide what color I want to use as my background. I pulled out a black and also a navy blue, and I decided to use the navy blue. But I do pull in the black cardstock later to just add some punches of contrast. So I go ahead and I use my 12 by 12 craft mat there in the background, and I'm using the 6-inch marks on that craft mat to line up this square and make sure that it is perfectly centered on the page. Here are these two photos that I'm using of my son for this layout, and I will tell you a bit more about those in a minute. But first I get them, I'm going to mat them on some white cardstock like I did there, and then I'm going to place those two photos on the green block. Now, before I adhere that green block to the page, I go ahead and use my sewing machine and some black thread to zigzag around each of those triangles that form that diamond, and then I also straight stitched across the along the outside of the cardstock background. So you could see that I flipped the orientation of that page, and that's because I wanted to use this white and gray striped sticker to the right of my photos. And so to instead of having the white triangle right below it, I just turned the orientation of that page so that they were opposite of each other. Now these, the dinosaur, the cactus, and the circle were all stickers from the sticker sheet, and I wanted to move them around a little bit and play with them. So you could see I took a little bit of baby powder that I have in a dish and just spread that across the back to kind of take away the tackiness of the sticker, and that way I could move them around and play with them. So now that I've decided how I want those placed, I'm happy with them, and I go ahead and use some adhesive to put those on all together. So I decide to put the cactus on the right, and then I'm going to use some foam squares to pop up this little cute dinosaur here and add some dimension to that little piece. To help that gray and white striped circle to kind of stand out a bit more, I did use a 3.5-inch circle punch that I had in my stash to just punch a mat for it out of black cardstock. And I like that punch of black. It ties into the stitching, and then also ties into this cute little black banner piece that I'm putting at the feet of the dinosaur that says "Something Fierce." So the title that comes with this page is called Wild Child, and that inspired me to select these photos of my son. And ever since he was little, he has loved anything to do with the outdoors. He's the kid that is always outside and is just exploring, and you have to call him in every minute to try and get him back inside. So these photos are kind of funny. We were on our way to a cabin trip, and my son decided that since we were going through the mountains, there might be a lot of roadkill on the road. I know, that's kind of morbid. So he made himself a bingo game to play in the car that says "Dead Animal Bingo." So it was just kind of funny. I don't know, just a little bit about his personality. And so I wanted to put that here with this Wild Child title. I just thought that was perfectly appropriate because it was kind of just such a boyish thing to do. Now the other photo on the right was the day before we left for this cabin trip, and he was so excited because we have a little stream that runs by our house, and he had ordered a gold pan because he thought that he was going to strike it rich and find some gold in the stream by our house. But then it came right before we left on this trip to the cabin, and he was even more excited because, you know, the mountains, they're wild, and not as many people have panned for gold up in the mountains. So he was going to take that pan with us on this trip, and he was for sure going to come home a millionaire, I thought. So, or he thought. So anyway, just super cute. All right, so I did play with that title as you saw there, and I was thinking I would put it underneath the photo on the left, but I did end up putting it right below the dinosaur on the right. And now I cut out that journaling block from the background paper to use on this page below the stickers. And I'm getting that into place, and now I'm going to start playing with these stars that are included with the kit. Now I've got the blue triangle and the blue dinosaur in the upper right quadrant of the page, and so I put this little blue star down by the title to just draw your eye there with the blue, and then I'm thinking I want to put some blue up in the upper left corner of the photo where I'm pointing there. And so I kind of explore a few ways to do this, and I'm kind of indecisive for a moment, so you'll see me work through some different options. I pull out some stamp sets that I think I might use, and just some embellishments that I think I might use, and I pull out the sticker sheets that go in this Something Fierce kit, and I don't know, I'm brainstorming at this point. So I see this little sticker that has these 4 stars in a row, and I decide that not only will I spread the blue around the page, but I should spread the black around the page as well. So I mat it on some black cardstock and decide to make this little tab with it. Now that little gray, gosh, I can't talk today, that little gray piece of paper behind the mat is just a leftover piece from matting those 2 photos there. And so I thought I might layer it behind just to add some interest. And you'll see that me move that around as well. At this point, I decide to take out these little squares, and I'm going to use the star die cut, or the star dies, to cut out some stars to spread around the page. So I place them on the little squares and see which 2 sizes will fit, and I washi tape those, and then I go ahead and die cut several of those out. So I'll just skip past that part, and you'll see me play with those stars here in a minute. While I was cutting out those stars, I decided that my mat needed a bit more presence, so I did decide to add a layer of black cardstock behind that mat, and that's what I'm doing here. I pulled that off, added that, and now I'm just adding that back into the place where it was before, and then I add that tab back on. And now that I've got that black mat, I decide, you know what, I don't know if I like that tab there. This is where I'm really indecisive. So I try it out in a bunch of places, and then I do end up putting it at the top of that journal block to just kind of accent that and add some stars in that corner. So here I have all those stars that I've cut out, and I start to play with them. I want to put some blue up in that left corner like I had said before, so I'm going to do that. And then I'm just going to pop these around, and I end up moving them around quite a bit. I'm not exactly loving the size or the colors of these stars. I feel like they look good in the 2 places, but when I try to put them by the dinosaur, they feel too big. So I ultimately decide to pull them off altogether and not use the stars that I die cut out. And that's okay. So I pull out the stars from the other layout that match these doodly stars, and I decide I'm going to use them all on this page. Now there's these little blue accent pieces, these little flag pieces, and I decide to put those in the upper left corner of the photos to bring that pop of blue up there that I was trying to do with the stars earlier. And then I start to play with these stars, and I like these a lot better. I like that the size of them, and I like that they're all doodly instead of mixing the doodly and the die cut ones, if I'm making any sense. So yeah, these are the weird things I think about. So you can see at the top of the photo that I took that gray piece and I cut it in half and put 2 little layers across the entire top. And then I'm taking the decorative borders die cuts, and I decide to use a scrap of the white paper from the background of the original layout. It has kind of a net pattern on that. And I die cut the end of that to look like a notebook, and then I end up putting them all behind the photo, and I really, really like how this looks. Just adds some more presence. It balances out the white of the journaling block at the bottom, and it just feels a lot better than what I was trying to do before. Now, my finishing touch for this page is I wanted to add some dimensional details, and I wasn't sure if I was going to add some sparkles in with the stars, because stars are sparkly, or the black enamel dots. I decide that I like the punch of black, so I do use the enamel dots, and here I'm just deciding how many stars that I want to put them on. I didn't have enough to put them on all the stars, or they felt too heavy on the smaller stars, so I end up putting a black dot in each of the clusters on just one of the stars, and then one on the dot of the word child, just to add a bit of dimension there. So I feel good with that, and I'm ready to add in my journaling. I put that blue netting piece below the journaling block. I don't know if I mentioned that before. And now I'm finished with this page. I add the date to the right of the title, and then I hold it up so you can see it. Now there's some close-up shots coming here. I hope you enjoyed this page coming together, and thank you so much for joining me. I'll be back again soon with the other Something Fierce paper or layout from this kit. So we'll see you again soon.